getting hunted. JZZ with 3.
Olha o DG! Sensacional. Vai recuperar a visão. Ele quer e ele consegue o ace!
Welcome back, everyone, to Week 5 of VCT Americas and our second match of the day. Can you believe that we're there already? Wow, NRG really had to catch a lunch dinner, or lunch break, excuse me. But, of course, I have Mimi and I have Sean here back again. We have a little Brazilian clash for you as Furia take on MiBR. This is going to be an exciting game to watch just because these two teams are in very interesting points in the season right now, Mimi, and I'm curious to see if this is the turnaround for them.
Similar to match number 1, it's a team that's 2-3 and a team that's 3-2. So big implications for playoffs and also a ton of history between these two Brazilian squads.
That's right.
And I don't know what's going on with MiBR. They walked away from last week, Super Week, averaging like 4.5 rounds a map out of their 4 maps played.
Yeah.
Furia had some dicey games. They played the NA teams in like EG, and then who else did they played C9?
Cloud9, yeah.
Cloud9 wiped the floor with Furia, so we don't really know where Furia is standing right now.
Yeah.
Something that is happening today is I believe their coach is coming back.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And we'll, of course, dive a little bit more into all of that. But for more on this matchup and how these teams are feeling coming into today, let's actually check in once again with our Brazilian desk because we have Bita as well as Tashina standing by. What's up, guys?
Hey Golden Boy, hey guys. Last time we were here, we talked how well the Brazilian teams were playing here at the VCT and how do we hope to get all of the teams in the playoffs. But now, things have changed. And I think that MiBR and Furia, after played so bad at the Super Week, start the battle for a new spot at the playoffs today. Even though they never face each other, it will be the first time, but the players do know each other since the beginning of the scene beta, and that's what makes this game so emotional.
Exactly. Even though they never faced each other, there's one player that played for both sides, and that's MW0, who joined Heat and Maurice back on Champions 2021. It was a different team, but he played very well with him. Not so well because he changed his role. He was a duelist. He had to play as initiator back then, similar to what JZZ is doing nowadays for MiBR. In order to join them, he had to swap from duelist to initiator, and they're both like doing their best to bring this team to the top. And in my opinion, JZZ and MW0 are like the most stable players in both teams. They have to perform very well in order for the team to succeed, and we have to watch them today. Let's see if MW0 has still some insight on how Maurice calls in game in order to bring some advantage to Furia.
Yeah, but I think you guys can agree with me, none of this matters. History, none of this matters, because Furia just needs to stop losing Echo's round, and MiBR just start winning Pistols round. Simple as that, man. Back to you guys at the desk.
Always a pleasure to hear from our comrades over at the Brazilian stream. Go ahead and check them out. Bita and Tishina are awesome people. Been really fun to get to know them as well. Yeah, and I think very interesting insights that we're taking across the board. Also, just MW's era, right? Having played for both of these teams could potentially have that intel.
The history adds a lot of emotion, I'm sure, for the players behind the scenes. But what matters today is getting a win for both of these squads. Because as they were mentioning, off of Super Week, it looks like both these squads are slumping right now, with Furia going 1-1 and MiBR going 0-2 in that Super Week.
Yeah.
It was ever since Furia played that match against Loud. They fell 0-2 to Loud, and they looked like a totally different team in that matchup than prior
Look
games.
at Digizin.
Yeah.
These guys dripped out.
Dripped out.
Digizin always looks good, so I don't want anyone stepping up to him. I want to be him when I grow up. Real talk.
Well, you might want to be. You might want to be if he wins this game, but if you lose this game, you wouldn't want to be him.
I think when it comes to skill of Digizin versus GB, I think Digizin wins that battle very much.
I think he's better dressed too.
Number one is
way better. I mean, our wardrobe team does a lot to pull this off, so trust me, Digizin does that effortlessly. But jumping into the matchup, though, I mean, yeah, you're really going to have to look to see what happens with Furia here because it has been a bit of a rough run for them. 1-1 coming out of Super Week, and really that win coming against EG was one of those that they probably should have just won handedly, maybe.
Yeah, they only scraped by with some individual plays from MW's era to close out map number 3. And that's been kind of the case since, like you talked about, that loss to Loud. We haven't seen that same element of structure, the same clear game plan that kind of made us fall in love with this team. The last 2 weeks, it's been unforced errors of people peeking alone, of weird decisions in up-number situations. It seems like Furia's crumbling, and even from the players themselves, it's clear they're not happy with it.
Yeah, it's kind of telling when you read the tweet from Mazin right there on the screen, but we were the ones highest on Furia after a couple weeks, right? They looked insane. They had depth strategically, and they were willing to take those duels, and they're winning them more often than not. Now that we're deep into this season, it looks like their strategy is kind of phased out. They haven't innovated enough as the season's progressed, and because of that, they're just left with this loose style that's random.
But you know what, though? Could be better horizons up ahead, because good news is that Coach Carlisle is actually gonna be here and in person. Look at the tall giant. I actually was kind of shocked to see him down the hallway. I was like, oh, I forgot how big you were. But it's great to see Carlisle back with this team. Mimi, what does this mean for Furia? Does it help them out?
He's a big guy, but he's also a huge voice for this team. He has been with them through it all. When our friends over on the Brazilian broadcast were talking about history, all the way back, Champs 2021, this guy was with Furia through the tough times, through the good times. Carlisle has been there to help them out. And they've been lacking that voice for the last few weeks here in Americas. And I think having him back in to help kind of reset the strategy, reset the mental, can be that point for them to pivot the rest of the season.
I couldn't agree more. This guy is a huge voice on this team. And when you watch the timeouts lately, while Frost, the GM of the team, has been very vocal in those timeouts, they obviously are missing their coach and the person that's giving them the strategy day in, day out. Having the ability to have those adjustments in game time, high pressure situations is going to be a huge benefit to Furia.
Frost is also not fluent in Portuguese, so they've been having to do this kind of back and forth with the rest of the coaching staff to get the translations to players properly. It's been this whole game of telephone for them. I think now they're going to be able to bring back that structure, bring back that consistent voice, and hopefully bring back the Furia that we learned to love early in the season.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Mimi thought I was off the goop when I was just losing my mind for Furia at the end of lock-in, but
I was a believer too. I was also on the goop.
We became believers, and a lot of the players on the team made us believers as well. One of the reasons why we were so big up on him was because of Carlisle. And even though, Furia, they're going to look to bounce back here from Super Week, but I really do think that Carlisle is going to be the guy that could potentially step up for him here, Sean. We know he has it in him.
Dude, he is insane, GB. Like, this guy is incredible mechanically. You watch all these clips, it's not going to be a lot of, crazy controllers outplaying. He's not holding his one way, not mauling someone out of a corner. No, he's just straight aiming in a lot of these clips. This guy is for real when it comes to taking these fights. And he's the only reason, in my opinion, why Fury has kept this positive record.
Yeah, and while the rest of the team has been slumping, Carlisle has also fallen off in performance. He was looking like a world ender for the squad in weeks 1 and 2. That's why we were hyping this team up, thinking they could maybe even be the best in the league. But 3 and 4, he wasn't able to replicate that form. And I think now for Furia to have a resurgence, him hitting that peak form again is going to be important.
Yeah, they're certainly going to need that, right? And for more on this matchup, let's actually hear from the two players that know each other incredibly well. It's Furia's MW Zera as well as MiBR's Heat.
A gente sabe que é um confronto assim regional, né? Querendo ou não, então a gente sabe o que eles gostam de fazer, eles sabem o que a gente gosta de fazer bastante. Eu conhecendo bem os moleques, principalmente o Maurício e o Hit, acho que o Hit dentro do jogo assim, ele é um cara que tem uma personalidade forte, dá muita segurança pro time. Tipo, eu que joguei com ele, eu sei disso.
O MW é um cara muito parceiro, um amigo meu de verdade mesmo, amigão. Então vai ser muito bacana enfrentar ele, né? Estamos na mesma sonho, vivendo a mesma coisa. E só que no servidor vai ser diferente.
A gente é bem amigo mesmo, a gente conversa bastante ainda, a gente tem bastante contato. Admiro muito ele também como pessoa, o moleque me ajudou bastante. Mas acredito que, claro que deixa de lado, né? Porque cada um tá no seu time agora, a gente vai dar a vida pra vencer.
Vai ser um jogão, tenho certeza disso. É um confronto bem importante. Acho que vale a volta da nossa confiança durante o campeonato. Então, continuar trabalhando essa semana, trabalhando duro, treinando bastante, jogando bastante jogo e focar, entrar focado mais, entrar mais ativado.
Focus, focus, focus. That is what is on the menu for both of these teams, as neither squad can really afford to give anything up. But let's go ahead and move on, though, to MiBR because, they again, like Furia, they look great early on. But ever since then, it feels like, Mimi, they have really also struggled to find their identity, find themselves here in Americas.
You heard it from Heat. This week is about regaining confidence for an MiBR that, just like Furia, has been falling into a slump. Super Week was brutal for them. In both of those games, they didn't win more than 6 rounds in any map, which is such a pivot from the first few weeks where we were actually getting higher and higher on the expectations for this team. I mean, they upset NRG.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was right before the Super Week too. I don't know what happened to this team in the Super Week. but they need to bust out of that. They need to get back to the form they showed at the start of this split, because nothing was working for them in the Super Week. And they weren't even playing, you know, the best opponent in the league. They were playing Sentinels with newly acquired Marv, like, stepping into the team.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just an abysmal Super Week by them.
Yeah, and it also doesn't help as well. It's like a reverse Furia situation where it's like they beat Sentinels. What was it, Sentinels or oh my
NRG,
God, NRG. Sorry, they
Sentinels.
beat NRG, lost to Sentinels, and then since then it just fell apart. Whereas on the other side, Furia lost to Loud, and now it's just been also falling apart. It's like the mental, right? Mid-season mental. It's so difficult for both of these teams to try and like get over that hump. But the success of these teams today might actually be decided by the first engagements. That is going to be really interesting, and I want to see Mimi Digizine pop off today, because I'm always big on this guy and his fashion advice, but I really do think that this could be Digizine's day.
Digizine is huge for this team, but like we were talking about with some of those unforced errors, a lot of the time it seemed like he was being left out to dry, pushing through, not quite the right utility or the right timing to set him up. And on the other side for Heat, we've seen problems too. When they upset NRG, he was involved in something like 40 opening duels, and in the last 2 weeks in Super Week, it seemed like he couldn't get involved in the early round whatsoever.
Yeah, and that's exactly the difference between these two, right? The opposite is the case with Digizine. This guy is constantly going for the first bloods, the highest in the league, I think by far.
Yeah.
Even though he's played way less rounds than some of the players. I think he has 59 first bloods, less first deaths, actually. He's having a great season. So it's not like he's not performing. It's just the pieces aren't fully around him. They don't know how to capitalize off of these picks that he's getting, and sometimes he's overextending.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm looking forward to this game genuinely because we have two teams that really neither squad can afford a loss here today, which means we're going to get some excellent Valorant. Two Brazilian powerhouses are ready to face off, and it's time to see who's going to come out on top. Let's go ahead and welcome to the stage Furia and MiBR. Both teams need to win, and neither can afford a loss. It's MiBR versus Furia, two top-tier Brazilian teams facing off against each other here at the Americas stage. And for Furia, they have Carlisle back, the coach. Let's see how much this impacts the match. This is going to be a fun game because, Mimi, you have two squads that they just cannot sacrifice these L's.
In history, MiBR was the gatekeeper. Back when they were Vivo Key, back when they had MW Zera on the squad, they had an impressive win record over Furia. But now, times have changed, and Furia is the squad with the high expectations out of Brazil. But for both these teams, this is a match about regaining confidence and keeping playoff hopes alive.
Absolutely. I couldn't think of it being a bigger opportunity for MiBR to vault up the standings than to take out Furia today. Head coach coming in, obviously some changes coming in the Furia camp. This is where MiBR needs to turn things around, but I don't even know where they would do it, Mimi. I don't know where I favor MiBR in this series, and this is where the experience amongst the players comes into play. A lot of knowledge about how each other play. These interregional matchups can get so weird. I think we're gonna see some crazy comps.
It's hard to be super positive on MiBR. It's hard to come in with high expectations after that Super Week where they lost both series in completely dominant fashion. But we must remember history in which MiBR has been a team who's been able to pull off these upsets before. If they're playing like they did against NRG, it wasn't beautiful Valorant, but it was scrappy. They had individuals stepping up in a big way. They were able to do it, and it is replicable. It's possible against Furia.
Well, I do have to ask the question, though. Is it more or less that we've seen the story of NRG up until this time, right? could you give the flowers to MiBR, but at the same time, though, say, like, maybe Energy didn't play that well, given what we know now? Sean, what's your take?
Yeah, it's so interesting to think about, you know, what transpired that day, because Energy looked like a totally different team.
What happened that day?
And then MiBR have gone the opposite way. So it's so weird, that result. And I think the key thing to look at today in this matchup is the player we talked about, MW0 and Heat. Will they combine to open up these sites?
Something I want you guys to notice really quickly here, they've been in the team huddle for a long time. We're usually out of the team huddle by this time. And I'm not saying it's just, you know how important this is. Like, these guys are all just trying to keep each other calm and get ready for this match.
Not just have you not been able to play with your coach, but you haven't been able to see him. Everyone else has moved to LA, been getting settled. For Carlisle, this is all new. And I'm sure it's a breath of fresh air for Furia to have them back in the mix, to have that voice in the huddle. When they were doing well at lock-in, when they were pulling that close game against Fnatic, he was a big part of that.
And it looks like a different team.
It looks like a different team, dude.
You can see him going around, making sure all the players feel good. It's honestly giving me a little bit of goosebumps.
Yeah, I'm so happy to see Carlisle back. You have no idea. I'm stoked. But because it's like he was there for them. Like, this is a guy that these 5 players can fall back on mentally, and that is so important to have. But let's move on, though, to the map picks and bans, as Lotus is going to be the first one to go. Lotus not going to be played by Furia today. They don't want to play, and no Ascent either.
That's a permabans for both these teams.
Yep,
and I think for MiBR, that works well for them. Furia's looked really strong on Ascent, so having that as your perma works in this series. Furia will pick into Pearl in this one to get us started.
I think MiBR has struggled massively. When I watch them on Pearl, it doesn't seem like they have a full grasp of the Harbor Viper meta, and I would favor Furia tremendously in that opening pick.
Yeah, we've seen some weird comps in history as well. Furia was running the Breach Neon on that one, and I'm wondering if they'll stick to that or change more in line with the meta on these Harbor Viper picks.
Yeah, I'm curious if DGZ rocks the Neon. I believe we heard that was an anti-strat for that given matchup, but they blew a 9-3 lead on that game.
The defense was brutal.
It was awful. So perhaps clean that up, and our third map is going to be Haven. I'm not sure how I feel about Split being the second map. Do you think we get to see the DGs in Chamber?
I hope not. They've tried it now.
I love it.
They've just been ran over by double duelist comps, like both times they've played it. It feels so very counterable. In VALORANT, it looks pretty cool, but when someone's running down your face, it just doesn't seem as effective.
Yeah. Let's just go ahead and table the Chamber talk maybe for next season.
Okay, let's talk
worry
about the Neon.
it then. Let's talk about the here and the now.
That's also a weird...
Oh, I want Neon. That would be really fun.
No.
Why not?
I'm hoping they switch back to normalcy, and they will. It looks like it should just be standard Harbor Viper versus Harbor Viper. It's a Brazil matchup. It's what we should expect.
Yeah, when they ran that Neon last time, they just slotted DG into a Neon instead of the Jet in this same comp. It was pretty cool. Until, of course, they got 210.
It was cool until it wasn't cool anymore.
They didn't have many ideas for how exactly they would hold the defensive half. This time, they're going to get that operator in DG's hands, and that's supposed to fix a lot of their problems.
On this attacking side, I'm looking a lot towards Heat. He's really struggled to get involved with these opening kills, and in Harbor Viper versus Harbor Viper, that Jet roll can be really difficult, especially with the coordination with your Sky.
All right, well, let's see how this plays out and get into our matchup and send it to your casters. 2 just good old-fashioned Stat Stevens, but they're better known as Doug and Bala.
Thank you so much, Golden Boy Bala. Brazilian Brethren Brawl in this best of 3, an ever pivotal one at that. We think about where they are in standings and the head-to-head matchup. This could define a season.
Yeah, the Dust is talking a lot about how this is a must-win match for both sides. I think MiBR need 2 in the next 4, this one included. So it's going to be really, really pivotal, like you said. And this is it for Brazil. This is the last Brazil versus Brazil matchup that we're going to get. So it's basically determining who's the second best, because both of these teams felt allowed earlier in the series, and now they have the chance to prove to their country in their performance here in the Americas League. Furia and MiBR, I think one thing as well, I'll call us Stat Stevens, but MiBR is 1 out of 4 games played on Pearl. That 1 win over at Crew. So it's not looking good. 25% win rate on this map. Furia picking right into it.
Well, they've gotten the opener. They've struggled at pistols, and they're up big here.
I think one thing I saw on stage leading into this, and we actually heard it as well, MiBR much more energized actually than Furia. It seemed like they came into this angry because during Super Week, they had the worst Super Week series of matches. 0-2 and only won total of 18 rounds.
18.
Over 4 maps, it's not looking good. So you have to expect the team that beat NRG in the week prior to come in with some fury.
This is going to be Fury required from the defensive side here. They find themselves in a 2v4 post-plant.
He's exposed there.
Yep. Oh my gosh. He shouldn't have gotten away with that one. Khalil has shown up now. Got a little help. They've got some numbers, and they've got a couple of frags. But it's going to fall on MW to get the 1v2, and he cannot.
Good recovery there. It looked for a second like they might lose control once that flash went out, but nobody from Furia, neither MW or Khalil, swung with that. So a lot of contact on it, but nobody able to complete this situation. Good trades from MiBR, but also Furia getting very aggressive in middle as the defenders. And Sean was mentioning on the desk as well about how that defensive side with the old comp from Furia was really rough against Leviathan. See if that continues.
Holy aggression, bro. They just wanted to take this fight, main. It's now the second round in a row that we see Furia try to dictate the pace at the opening of the round.
And 2 interesting walls as well. A high tide, obviously, to control and push with that aggression that you were talking about, but the Viper wall as well, all focused towards A.
They had a flash over the top, too. There was a lot invested into this area of the map. But much like we saw in the previous round, it ends in a, mind you, this is because they had better guns, but it ends in another round win for MiBR.
Beta and Tashina spoke about the Brazilian casters, how MiBR was lacking in pistol rounds. And I think that definitely rings true, but a lot was lacking last week. So to see RGL get up there, and I think particularly Muriz, who is such a strong fragger for this team, and also the IGL. If he could start getting going, that seems to me would indicate a different MiBR than what we saw in Super Week. Still time to play, going straight into that cascade down B long to get a little bit of control. Skipping the Viper Orb. And it looks like we're gonna have a classic B long retake here by Furia. There's only 2 players here to receive. And with the Reckoning as well, they're gonna have to fall off the site.
Heat's already dashed back side too. The alarm bot is still up. They're finally getting cleared out.
There is a possibility of a smoke here if we can find it. They're running it down though.
Dash across, great crosshair placement. DG, the desk mentioned previously on the Neon, now on the Jet. Looking to make a play, and he cannot. Oh gosh, oh no, they were all flashed.
And you're looking at a save situation here immediately from Furia. MiBR looking very nice off the get-go. FRZ with a massive round. I think when you watch the game against NRG where they got that upset win, and you watched a couple of their early brawls against Loud and so on, it was basically not just the story of Heat. I know he's a very important and pivotal member on this squad. At one point taking 38% of the opening duels for the team. It's everybody. Everybody was popping off. And FRZ in this case, I mean, playing around that jet smoke so well that Digizin used to, like you said, dash across to get past that map, but easily able to actually work with that smoke against them.
5-1 start for RGL, 5-1 start for FRZ, and a light buy for Furia. Just 2 Phantoms going into this next round. I don't know what she was saying. I'm sure it was important.
Trains leaving the station.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So it's interesting, they're not, okay, the Cascade's a little bit later, but they've already lost Cubby.
Yeah, look at this setup. They actually have, Masi has a Viper Maul. It's the Vietnam strat, the eco round. But nobody's swinging.
Not yet. Oh, they've cleared out Cubby, and they've taken care of MW. Well, they don't know that one's still here? Okay, that's one.
Only ever gonna get a trade there just with the Sheriff. And I think importantly there, Furia, I mean, with a really cool idea, really cool strat, Leviathan has been running that a lot by just throwing the molly in the back of map where we had that duel in the last round, and then swinging hard with it, causing the players on the attack to be all different positions than you're expecting. And this one hurts because you had 2 rifles engaged in this map. I'm surprised actually that you didn't have the majority of them with that hit, because if they did go for the B-long like they did, then all of a sudden you actually have firepower there to match them. This is a very good start from MiBR. I mean, already matching some of the maps that they've had last 2 matches, and you just keep having to bring that back up because we have seen so many different MiBR show up at lock-in, early on in Americas League, then in Super Week, then against NRG, like just a million versions.
That's the only gun they had left. They were trying to save the Phantom and they couldn't even do that.
Trying to save it 2 rounds in a row too.
Yeah.
And you actually do get like a little bit behind economically by saving a weapon compared to the rest of your team, especially if you don't win the next round. So he's going to be a little bit rough for where at after rebuying a rifle there. Still got all his util. But down to light armor, which is fine, generally speaking. But the Brazilian teams have actually not gone for the light armor strat like the North American teams have.
Off in the hands of DG's in too. He's playing backside right now. And it doesn't look like there's going to be any early contest though.
Digizin has been struggling so far in these first 4 rounds. He's died 3 times first. Now he has the op in his hands. But he's posted in a direction that MiBR, they are a team that can pivot. They have shown the propensity to be able to do that. Back into mid, but I don't think that they're looking for a B hit here.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Given their cascade.
Given the lockdown too, so you're looking at where FRZ is moving right now in A main. Is he gonna set up against this? But Khalil is here with that Vandal. If he can target down FRZ, that would be huge. Now he's gonna give up the site though. And Furia just rotated 4 away.
The lockdown you just mentioned finally being dropped. There's still some Killjoy utility they're gonna have to get through, courtesy of Khalil.
Look at the mid control still held by MiBR though. Nuriz is still watching this double door reflank that Furia is actually going for. He's just made noise that he's fallen off though.
That timing could be disastrous. It is just Miri's holding that too.
This plan is so late.
Heat's already dropped, and you're giving up a good bit of secret. I mean, the wall's gone down now. There's that first kill.
Oh, they split up, Doug.
I still don't think they're going to be expecting a second though. Mazin's got to be pacey though. Man, he's got to go. He's got to take some space away here. There's the first onto him. Now position given away. Mazin just, I mean, he found so much value out of that.
Yeah, you're right. Muri has completely lost track of the possibility of a second there. And RGL was actually setting up to throw more Harbor util, so he was completely out of the play. Good round from Furia, but I honestly think MiBR kind of gifted that to them. That lockdown went down, and they had sight for so long, but they still waited till 12 seconds to get that plant down. Remember, there was only 1 player here. Khalil fell way off. Okay.
I don't even think I saw Heat.
Just a little sliver past the high tide. And there you see images of Carlisle as well. The head coach for Furia, who's been unfortunately not here within the first 4 weeks for Furia, but they still got out to a good start. So he must be incredibly proud of his team for what they accomplished without him.
Dude, DG just ate that flash by himself, didn't even back up a ton, didn't get the dash ready. Hey, he's insane.
Poison's off.
Jets often try to cheat the dash so that they can have it later on in the round in more impactful positions. And there's the first duel between Heat and Digizin. And Digizin wins it out, but that's because he has that op online after the first couple of losses. And he's repositioned over towards A. This is a really nice way to play this for Furia. Still so much mid presence for them, and Mazin's in trouble though. And the team is not in place to reposition it, help him fast enough. That lockdown is great though from Khalil in backhaul.
Reckoning's gonna create some space.
They're pushing it. They think they have time. They do.
2 seconds. Yeah, just a little over a second and a half left. Seekers are going to clear out B-Link too. You've got Khalil in a decent spot to help once they're ready to pounce. Once they're ready to strike. 2 backside here. DG just waiting for the challenge long.
This time there's nobody in position to actually hold this. Remember the last time they went for this double flank? It got destroyed.
I mean, they're not playing for both lane utility either. Miri's the only one with Amali's close, but they swing by themselves. Miri's is able to get the first. MW has to take a step back now. 3v3. The op is down. MW takes care of Miri's. A 2v2 as the spike ticks away. RGL having to hold the line now.
It's given up that it's not halved yet.
MW on the tap. 32 HP.
No time.
Yeah, that's not going to be enough. It's going to be close, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Maybe a second and a half left.
And again, these rounds on both sides are taking so long to get in position. And I think that there critically, MiBR got the right pick on actually QCK, who was running down on that flank. He threw a cascade to block backhaul, but he died before he was able to stop it. So when they were continuing in that retake attempt, there was actually no vision blocker on backhaul, and they're able to peek that. MW has really no choices. And so it leads to a first timeout. The first round win for Furia, immediately responded to by MiBR. Carlisle and Bazooka, first chances now to add their flair, their adjustments on this map. I think the critical thing I'm talking about here, if I'm Carlisle, is this mid pressure from MiBR in the mid round. It's not necessarily even followed up by like a cascade or high tide like you see from Loud. It's a lot more brawly, which you would expect Furia players to be happy with. But right now, it's just not clicking, and a lot of times you're seeing, like in that last round, Mazin completely isolated by himself. I wonder if, because they're not using the Harbor utility and instead they're using the Viper util to take mid, that's throwing them off and throwing their protocols for a loop, because everybody is currently in the meta using that Harbor high tide.
Yeah. We'll see what adjustments are made, if any, on the other side of this timeout. MiBR with the 4-round lead. I mean, it's been by committee. I mean, RGL is just having himself a field day.
Yeah, but everybody else by committee. He has knives too, not looking like he's going for any fast up traps or anything like that. Just right back into this. You've got to be careful here. MiBR might expect a light buy, but instead Fury's going for a full force with the light armor.
This is a deeper flasher out of JZZ2 to make sure they didn't get into the same fight that they got into a couple of rounds ago around Pillar. So they have the cascade blocking off backside, the flash behind Pillar, make sure there's no one around, and they can comfortably take the space and the orb.
So flank engagement at double doors happening as well right now. And he made noise, so he's going for it. They didn't get in here because of the Reckoning. Khalil as well is swinging with it, and they get a spam kill.
And he died. He took so much damage on the entry. He's no longer around now, and the spike still isn't down. It's still not necessarily out on sight. This may be a very good hold by Furia.
Spike down B. Poison off.
Always love seeing new skins in the game. UCK catching FRZ asleep.
A lot of people getting caught by unexpected angles here.
Yeah.
Especially MW on the player who pushed into B-Link there from the bottom side.
30 seconds left.
Samir is 1v4.
Toxin screen down.
Start. They're lined up here.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
I saw it. You did. They were lined up.
You did.
He had an opportunity to go for a reset. I think still 15 seconds on that too.
Yeah.
Fury, I mean, making mistakes like that are going to make it really hard for them to get back into this game. And remember, this is their map pick. And switching comps as well. Back to something a little bit more favored in the meta.
I want to see you.
And this one is tough as well. A role swap too. Remember, Khalil was playing that Viper. Mazin was playing Breach to set up the Neon in the previous iteration of this.
It's a little late to be. Surprised he's still committed to the pit. I guess it's just off the cascade. That's just going to give MiBR a lot of info and a lot of time.
Probably setting up the Viper orb in mid at the beginning of the round. So he's able to get back in time, and that does push MiBR off. They're not a team who will take fights through Viper pits super often.
MiBR back to that mid-aggression. And they've left Muri's by himself to see if he can get something cheeky.
Does he really want to lurk through here?
That Trailblazer's going to get a lot of info. Actually, I believe it just spotted one, but between that and then all of the bullets that you're hearing in Art, you know that there's a hit this way. Bullets finally taking their time, but landing.
And the spam from MW too.
Poison orb
That
emitting.
heat versus Digizin battle definitely labored. But
30
Digizin gets
seconds
the
left.
better of it at the end and able to also follow up with another kill too and get away with his life. Locks up the round here. You definitely see what they were intending there. They're hoping for that Viper pit to drop. You're hoping for Mazin to rotate off when the hit comes through, and you can get a nasty flank timing.
10 seconds
One that's
left.
unexpected. A lot of the players on defense, when they're retaking A, they're paying attention to the sewers flank, but not the B flank. So it could have been a dangerous Thorn. But instead, they just get wiped out in Art. And it's not like they were losing anything from not having Muriz there, but because he already committed his orb, he already committed his wall as well. Just more bodies in a sense.
Yeah, just another gun. Sure. Speaking of another gun, doesn't look like that'll be the case for Heat this time around. Has blades online, but a quick timeout to think things over.
So on the side of Bazooka and MiBR, give a chance to talk to the IGL Muriz, try to figure it out how you can force your way through situations like that. But I'm not sure if that round specifically anything MiBR did was particularly wrong. I think the mid presence could still end up working. I mean, in that round, you should have gotten that kill on Digizin.
Yeah.
I mean, both of those players gave Digizin the attempt to re-fight that, and 5-3 definitely. I think this could start to get swinging back into Furia's direction. But you also don't even have that op online for Digizin, so that was the big threat that I was starting to think was really going to cost them some problems.
Yeah, what was key, perhaps. But you're right, still has the blades. I think we mentioned that a couple of rounds ago. Hasn't used them, has the Vandal for this round, but a little bit of more time to think things through as we exit the timeout. MiBR with the 2-round lead. Furia have won 3 of the last 4 here, and that's not with the op every single round like you were just talking about.
Also wasn't many key ults to be talking about in the next few rounds, so probably not a big factor, although Muriz has his.
Get out of my way.
So if they can get on the site, could be nice, but just in getting aggro.
Spike down B.
I think he is heating up at this point, Doug. That's now 3 first kills for him, who he started out 3 first deaths in this game.
Yeah. Flipping the script for sure. RGL the first to take contact there and dying to DG. So numbers in favor of Furia again.
It's a nice shot through the wall, a little dink on Khalil.
Calling my bot.
Khalil has been very disciplined on the safe side on his killjoy, falling all the way back in most instances. And I do like the discipline showed here from Furia. You get that first pick, Digizin's all the way back. Sometimes you might see him go for more, but now we're in a must-win position for them.
Here.
Yeah, Mazin the first of all. Heat finding a little bit more value now. 4v4, they've gotten A. And they're going to drop the pit. Really nothing to counter here as far as ults go for Furia.
Spike planted.
You do have the knives from Digizin, and he still has an updraft, but no dash, so
Here.
a possibility of a dive bomb into the pit. But you're right, no other tools, no seekers, nothing like that. MW one off of them, but you do have this big flank. I think he might high-tide it off. Yes, he just threw his cove down. So that turret not spotting right now.
He should have some time to think this through as well because the Cove just lasts
got the
so long
Seekers,
if it
he got
doesn't take
Seekers.
damage. Oh, but there were wides to the flank. The timing was great.
Blinded.
That could have been disaster.
They're both 1 HP.
2v2.
Remaining.
Muri's left in a 1v1 now. He's
Time.
trying to talk. He's trying to stay alive, and he buys just enough time to secure the round.
That flank could have been so insanely good. But the pit enough. And also, MiBR with the foresight to pay attention to what was possible there on the flank. Yes, the turret was there, it was watching it, but they knew 2 possible smokes, 3 possible smokes on that turret. With the Jet, the Viper, and the Harbor as well. And it does make noise when it lands. So I'm curious if FRZ was actually able to hear that.
Yeah, I don't know how. It looked like he turned around at the very last second.
I would have loved to see that flank wait for the Seekers to actually engage. But I don't think you really knew that they were about to come up. MW got to spam through the smoke on you. Look at this aggro high tide. Normally this is to set up your Jet player, but Digison is holding a main right now. And they just went for a little bit of exploration. And they realized they're going for that B control that MiBR has relied upon so much.
They're so concerned for the mid presence that even with the high tide there, they dropped a Trailblazer to make sure there's nobody coming.
And it was mostly a feint. They had 2 players still lurking in mid. So you knew the intention wasn't necessarily to commit past those walls on B. And now they've entered the mid round, swapping up JZZ's position towards A. So he's gonna throw a flash over here to try to get Digis in and some info. And he does spot him. Is that gonna be thinking that they're following up? Look at the cascade that just went up top mid. Is actually giving MW space to explore, so nobody moving on Furia.
The Reckoning confirms the suspicions. Vazine trying to spam into the Cloudburst, swings out, still tinks 1, but that's all it is for now. 4v3 in favor of MiBR. The Reckoning still scaling people away. And now the Cove. To secure the lane. Yeah. No flank this time.
He can put that down right now, yeah, if he wants to secure the round. Instead, they're going to take this for the post plan. I think it's an okay decision. Cove already used from QCK.
Found them. Bomb grenade out.
It's a little bit of additional safety, but we'll see if they try to...
Oh, Digis is up top!
Min-max a little bit too much. The flash splashed the wall. QCK scaling up into cubby. Off the tap.
And they've got to get going on this half.
They're still hanging on to it. Choose to save the lockdown. And it falls down to a 1v1.
This might not be a great plant here. JCC's not aware yet. He has to swing really wide.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, there was a second there.
Yeah. I mean, he was flirting with time, dude. That was really close.
No charges.
That's now, I think, 3 or 4 rounds where Furia on the retake are taking way too long, and nobody is committing to trying to get half, to pressure the attackers to make a play. And I think there, in that instance, you're liking the idea for them to actually fight on site because of how hard these post plants can be on Pearl and how insistent MiBR are going for this B long control. But neither of them fighting and getting super value while they're playing in the Reckoning. That's the part that befuddles me a little bit.
DG used the blades at the beginning of the round, also has a shorty, which has been the cause of many an antic in the last couple of weeks. Thing is, they know, or they should have an idea. Yeah, he was just here in the previous round. This time some spam to push him off the angle.
Poison's off.
He does have heal, he can get back up to max. And they're just doing basically the same thing they did in the mid round, but a little earlier and before the actual B pressure. There's no high tide here to really sell this by Mures.
Toxin screen
Kind of just doing the Khalil strat, looking for picks by himself. Is there a leak on this A site is what MiBR is asking for right now. It's the KJ ult again. Remember, he saved it last round. They still won it. And this is the anti-eek.
30 seconds left.
TG's here, though.
Oh, they think it's a fake.
I wonder if they're just going to want to funnel out. They dropped the Seekers as well. Investing a lot of ults into this. Into this round that they, in theory, should not lose. One weapon upgraded, and now they're going to be able to approach us from a couple of different angles.
Where's the pace, though?
But you're right, the flanks are too slow. Time is short. MW's dead.
They haven't even re-cleared Art up to this point, and they're losing more control on the site themselves. They're investing the lockdown.
Or they just, but they've lost.
Wait, they might be able to get on this, actually. There's no mollies. He might be able to stick here.
Remaining.
Half.
Area's clear.
He had to pull off.
He had one more teammate alive.
Yeah, maybe. Still felt like a Hail Mary call.
Yeah.
Last round in the half.
Scratching my head on that one. They definitely had major tools to win this next one. They had a 4v5. Yeah, they had advantage player-wise, but only one Vandal.
Turret out.
MiBR dominating this first half. The defensive woes for Furia continue. And I thought that was comp-based, Doug. I thought that was because of the breach, because of the neon, not able to actually have... They have stall, but not in the right ways. You can't really end up stalling the chokes against the Viper Harbor. But on attack side, I thought that comp was really good at actually negating some of the values of Viper Harbor on defense. But maybe it's a more systemic thing here.
Note the difference in where he stopped the cascade here. It's normally much further back. This time he stopped at pillar, and I think it was because of a deep flash out from MW that threatened early fight be long.
And there was also a high tide too. So definitely what they're considering. Digizin with the op. Just gonna swing here. Right after the jiggle, but he doesn't hit the shot and he gets dinked instead. That one's gonna cost him. Look how fast MiBR are at re-approaching back towards this B site. They just ran back through spawn, and you have to have mid control to be able to do that. And because they've conditioned so much, they have a free hit at this B site with the Reckoning again.
Yeah, it's really just Killjoy utility here, and it's not going to feel good, but Heat scales past it. Mazine's controlling the flank.
30 seconds left. Toxin screen.
He still has a lot of space here, too. He's still got a chance for another. Yeah, they've wiped the floor with this. It's just RGL. Dancing around to Reckoning, trying to find space, and he cannot.
Didn't even need that KJ ult after all, so the defuse comes through and the half ends at 8-4. So Furia improve against that scoreline that they had Olivia done.
I mean, really, this felt like it was secured because of the control that they had on Link. We're going to take a look at that one more time because, but, I mean, this is why this went as well as it did.
I think MiBR really expecting with the mid control that they had that Furia was going to go back for that hold on that B site.
Yeah. We actually have a special interview standing by right now. Dryad with Bastarda from Team Liquid. Dryad, take it away.
Thank you guys so much. And that's right, I'm over here with Team Liquid Brazil, Bastarda. And how are you feeling for this match? It's an 8-4 is not too bad for Furia. We see they have a Furia tattoo over there. ¿Cómo te sientes para esta partida? ¿Cómo ves esta partida de Brasil contra Brasil? Acabamos de ver que tienes el tatuaje de Furia puesto.
Yo hoy día voy por Furia. No fue muy lado para Furia, pero siento que como este mapa es más terrorista, siento que lo puede dar vuelta y yo voy por Furia, así que confío.
She's going for Furia. She's supporting Furia today, and it was a side that it was not the best one for Furia. It's a little bit more attack-sided, so now looking forward to seeing what they can do in the second half. I want to ask you a little bit more about, you just won Game Changers back in March, so how are you feeling for the entirety of that performance that you had and for what is to come next? You just won Game Changers. Acabas de ganar Game Changers en lo que era marzo y has tenido ese dominio del año pasado. Te veníamos en Berlín, quedabas en tercer puesto. Ahora, ¿cómo te sientes y cómo se viene sintiendo el equipo?
Este año me siento con más confianza porque cambiamos el equipo, como 3 integrantes del equipo, y siento que este año estamos como más con confianza y tenemos como más sintonía entre nosotras y siento que este año podemos dar mejores resultados que el año pasado.
She's feeling really good. Actually, 3 of the players changed for this side of Team Liquid Brazil for Game Changers. And now she's feeling really good. She's feeling really comfortable about what they can do. And the last question that I have for you is, what do you think the score is going to look like at the end for this map and for what is to come? ¿Cómo sientes que va a terminar esta partida para Furia?
Yo creo que va a ser 2-1 Furia. Siempre Furia a veces comienza medio mal, pero siempre después vuelve a sentirse con confianza. Así que yo creo que va a ser Furia.
Okay, she's saying 2-1 Furia. Furia is starting usually a little bit slower, but she's confident that they're going to take the win. We're going to see if that happens. We're going to send it back to the casters for the second half of the map 1.
Thank you so much, Triad. I mean, Bastarda's right in that they tend to start a little slow, but this feels extra slow.
Yeah, I think the considerations about the defense side and what she's saying about history. I mean, against Leviathan, they lost the first map. I think a lot of their wins, they lost the first map before clapping back. The problem here is this is their map pick, and I look towards Split. I look towards the ideas that they've had on Chamber on that, and scratch my head a little bit. I was a fan at first, but then Loud just ripped it apart.
Yeah, it looks cool until it doesn't work.
So they got to be focused on this, and I love this pistol. Instantly down B-Link with a cascade covering sewers, and
Khalil covering the flank.
MiBR has to fall off of it.
Are they going to clear him all the way? Are they that diligent? They are. That's insane.
But they spent a lot of time. That spike was planted already for 10 seconds before that fight. And they're pushing spawn here, but they're going to get pinched here, Doug. Doesn't matter if they get the control.
Well, I think the cascade from QCK bought so much time. They were scared to go
no! Good recovery again, but the heal doesn't come through. They didn't realize one player was still having.
Varys is on the tap now. That's all it is.
So much room for these two players to play down B long.
Yeah, they don't have any mollies or anything like that, or if they have, they've already been shot off.
Shit. Come
on. Time is low. Time is too low. Way too low.
Good attempt, but I think, like I said, on the first half for both these sides, it's labored. It's so slow in considering these retakes and the post plans.
I think there were a couple things to go back to the time thing that you were just mentioning that really showed themselves there. There was the late clearing mid, right? There was the fact that they got cascaded off on Lynx, so they couldn't take the fight and spawn. The pinch that should have happened never came through. They took their time there, and then the just late fights. You're absolutely right, Paula.
Placing sentry.
The aggro in mid right now on the side of MiBR. No buy coming out, just a frenzy for Heat. And it's that same tide that we were talking about, giving space to the Jet usually, but here all three players involved, maybe all five are gonna join.
Deep flash, clear out. Turret dropped.
An adjustment you can make there if you're Furia is after seeing that, you could put that turret a little bit deeper. MW's getting really aggro.
Yeah, he is. Well, he's got help though. Confident in his comrades, make sure they can get the trade. Move on. QCK with 3 on the round.
And you still have even mid control from Zine too.
Spike planted.
Looks like he's going to want to hit a late flank into Art, assuming the round even takes that long. It's just 2 left for MiBR. Make that 1.
He's peeking by himself. Miria's had an opportunity potentially to start fighting from Flowers so he can get those early and close Spectre kills, but it's not going to work out. Furia do what they did to what MiBR did to them on that first half, converting the first 2. See if they can convert even the bonus. And when you consider that really good start that MiBR had, you actually think that this scoreline should be way worse, honestly. That last round pivotal for Furia at the end of the half. And I thought MW was getting really aggressive by himself, but no. QCK and Digis in here. No chance. How do they approach this bonus? They do get the Reckoning online for QCK here, so they do have a power ult involved here. Even though they have the weaponry disadvantage, they have a big shot at this. And look at that little adjustment on the high side too. It's not something that you're gonna potentially catch in time if you're the player all the way in shop, but they're choosing to fight shop, keep it open. But all that aggression loses them the A side again. Digison gets in, and look at Khalil on the other side of the map too. That turret might go down.
You can tell FRZ has to stay. I think he just got contact and the turret got cleared out. That's just buying time again. FRZ feeling like he has to deal with what's happening B, but the hits A, the spike's down.
And look at what that pressure does. They're not able to flood because people are falling back into it. So Furia is actually deciding to fall off of site. MiBR has to go and clear all the space. Look, the Cascade's coming down Secret right now.
And the Trailblazer.
And you have 2 mollies here on the side of Mazin.
I mean, this was clinical from Furia, bro. Now you've got the Reckoning that they're going to have to navigate around.
They're saving. They're calling it quits. Even if they get the kill there, that's not enough of a mistake by Mures. He secured that round by breaking a single turret at an opportune time.
It's a nuance, man.
And that's the bonus. That's the bonus here for Furia. And it's all of a sudden 1 round difference between the two teams.
3 rounds in this half, 4 in a row if you go back to the previous half, and maybe Astarda was right, bro. I mean, the gap is gone.
Still a buy available here from MiBR, given the saved weapons. 4 saved. Just a Spectre on the side of Mirrors. And he's very aggro. They have a flash as well to help him out if he wants. But that early drop of the orb actually puts him in the Trailblazer, and there's no help all of a sudden.
So far up. It's another kill going in favor of Furia.
And look, JCT tried to get out there, but he's ahead of the high tide.
Yeah.
His teammate was there to help. And all of a sudden, this save force is gonna actually potentially cascade into 5 rounds in a row for Furia.
When you're down like this, you feel like you've lost control of the situation. You've got to try. You feel the need to try to make a play. And Maurice was so far up. Maybe try to couch rotates, get 1, maybe 2 if it's free, and swing the tides, but he's just not able to. He's cleared.
And MW, their former teammates, up Mirrors as early as last year, but even back to 2021. So you can tell there, maybe starting to get a read in terms of the personal battle between those two.
I believe it was Heat who mentioned it in the interview at the very beginning. They've known each other for a long time. They're friends. They've been teammates. They're in the same region, but they've never really played against each other. But I think you're right. Knowing, having that history, having that tendency and understanding each other very well could have been the difference there. As this round comes to a close, MiBR trying to save these 2 weapons that they have, and it seems like there's no danger of having lost them. Fury will get to 8, will be tied up once again.
Classic Pearl going on right now. But when you look at the economy of MiBR, this is why I'm saying this start
Make sure to follow
from
my
Fury
pack
could
in.
snowball
They'll
even
lead us
further
right to
because
the enemy.
yeah, they might be able to force again. But neither of those players who saved weapons can drop. So you're looking at a hero rifle situation by both of these. So you might get this 5-round start from Furia.
MiBR stacked pretty aggressively towards A. It looks like they may try to deny that space so that they can get the orb for Heat so he can have blades, because other than that, there's not a whole lot else for them to work with.
Yeah, you're right. That's what they're going for. Will that cost them the time? Again on the retake. Does Fury recognize they do get the information that that ult is now available, and they hear it popped? That might be the react into this B site.
FRZ's just on the other side of screens, and DG's gone above. I thought he was going to try to land up there.
I like that info peek and the spam as well, but look at Khalil's position. Look at Mazin as well.
They're still back there, and that's one of the Phantoms that they had. So still healthy, eventually falls, as does everything else. It's just the blades online now for Heat, and they're not around for long.
What a flash from MW2 as he thinks he has a gap to get in the backhaul. That timing perfect from the sky. And 5 in a row, actually 6 total in a row if you count the first half. Scoreline 2. And that one was perfect. I mean, they gave up so much space in mid, not only in mid, but also B long, and that's why you saw them try to react in. But on top of that, you have QCK, you have Mazin, or sorry, Khalil and Mazin, the Viper and Killjoy. Go for that lurk through B-Link. And we have our final timeout by MiBR. No more timeouts for either side in regulation, so last chance for the coaches to speak.
And I mean, it really has kind of gone off the rails for MiBR here, hasn't it? 6 rounds in a row. Full control for Furia. They've shown a couple of different looks as well. This has trouble written all over it.
This is, I mean, right here. They need to put a stop to it. I think that's why this timeout is called here. Bazooka understands how this is the biggest of all swing rounds. And they've lost opportunities on these swing rounds earlier so far. Murius, Bazooka need to come up with a big plan here. I think with Heat top, it's gonna be surrounding him once again. Last round was surrounding him to get those knives. This round, how does he find an early pick?
Once again, a main control looks like will be the case for him. But by himself this time. They're gonna want to fight for mid again.
I wonder how this is so passive from Heat. It's the same flash cascade, but look, they put the turret in front of that high tide again. So they have info that they're not pushing, and they're walking through it, just ignoring it entirely.
DG used his blades here. The Seekers, he's gotten into backside, but everything causing problems to Trailblazer. Beautiful combo.
And Muris has no space there to fight through.
That feels real bad, man. There's not a whole lot you can do against that.
I mean, every single player on MiBR there choked.
Ooh! Nice shout out from Heat. I thought he was done. I thought he was dead.
But they always have the option here to fall down B-Long. Because they have 2 players in B-Link right now. There's only 1 player on site, actually.
They're
chasing guns right now.
And Heat op is so key here. Massive investment, and they don't have enough to reinvest.
I mean, it's beautiful. You never expect this. You never expect that the opposing side is calling your save before you call it.
Yep.
Mazin is in their heads. It's now, I mean, that was 3 attempts at a save in a row, so Furia, enough of that. That is ridiculous.
I mean, they're real busted now. Maybe a Marshall, maybe a Stinger.
And I was mentioning how you saw the player in B-Link there, Khalil, get 2 free kills. And that's because you have that B-Long pressure coming in, and then you have B-Link. So the guy who is fighting, that's Muris, who's trying to put those mollies, has no space. He's getting pinched on both sides. He can't even fall back into B-Link, so he has to just do the unforced, or the forced error there of just walking and fighting B-Long.
Yeah, he had no choice. Looks like Heat may get some of that early aggression and pressure this round. He's got a Marshall in hand. He's playing real far back.
I mean, that's just going to get covered by a wall, no?
Assuming they don't go dry. Well, it looks like they actually crossed without it.
Crossed without it, but here it comes, and now he's up ahead. And this Trailblazer, it's going to be tough for him to fall back even. Stunned.
Taking a bite out of him.
They're not committing, actually. I think what you see right now is Mazin getting some information on that B site that they're rotating. So he calls it all the way back, and now he's actually uncertain. So the team is starting to slow down, but with 45 seconds. MiBR are the ones who are actually making the right read.
Yeah, it almost feels like Furia may have called that rotate off of A a little too early, but now they don't have much of a choice. And because time is low, MiBR have everyone here. They do have Furia, a couple of key ults that can help secure things like this lockdown that we've just seen them invest. Help them zone off a little bit.
And you think there might be a gap there, but MiBR wisely get off the site, away from those nanoswarms.
Turret to hold heaven. With 13 seconds left, they finally have to commit to the plan, and look at that, just sectioned off by the wall. Really no way for MiBR to fight back in this. They have to let it subside in DG. Yeah, that's brutal.
There's nothing to save here, so they're just gonna send it into the meat grinder.
What are they waiting for? What's the cue? First swing out. It's a 1-for-1. And they use the Reckoning. Oh. We were due a shorty kill, weren't we? We were due a shorty kill.
And DG stands up across the stage and taunts them because MiBR, while they had energy coming into this, we saw it on the stage in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, they did.
We saw it in the first few rounds as well. It has been sucked out of them. And I think he's doing the right thing to rub it into. We look like we're seeing exactly the same MiBR from Super Week, despite the start.
Here.
The timeline really tells the whole story. But is there something MiBR can do to flip the script, to change the momentum?
Toxins going up.
Yeah, again, no timeouts here for MiBR. This is all in their hands now.
Toxin screen down.
Yeah, I'm so shocked that Heat with this op is not opping down B-Long and trying to catch Mazin. yes, there's a lot of pressure down below against the jet op, but you can get up on top of the box, either box. Peek over the Viper wall. And he's just not doing that. It's so passive from them, and I think this time he's expecting a little bit of mid pressure, but the mid pressure has been more focused on B-Link than Art. So it's just an odd decision here. Will it end up costing them? He's still gonna have potentially even an angle up on top of the smoke on the A side when it does come through. And potential a pick onto DJ's.
Nothing landing for him. Wisely, DG, he did take some damage, chooses not to re-peek that angle, so he takes a space that was previously vacated.
30 seconds left.
Crazy part is those two have only had 2 engagements against each other.
Yeah. No.
Wow!
Do this, bro. The alarm bot's gonna give it away, right? Okay. I thought for just a moment he was gonna be able to slip the net.
I don't know why it took so long. 14 seconds, they gotta get the plant. RGO can spam it. Is there a cove on him?
10 seconds
yes.
left.
Planted.
Chooses to hold the weapon for now. Chooses to conceal his position too, and he gets 1 for it. They're challenging him. What? DG drops down on him, cleans him up. He getting one with the op, and it's all on to Khalil. Great response from MiBR. There were lots of questions leading into that round, but they make it work.
And that's their first round in so many. Talking 7 rounds in a row for Furia. MiBR for the first 1.5. And even though he didn't find the success with that op early, he did end up getting a wall bang onto DJ's, who, I mean, what is this?
Bold. I respect it.
That's crazy. Excuse me, 8 in a row. Look at that. Just disgusting.
That's not a bad run. The nice thing is, if you're a fan of MiBR, they had an 8-4 lead at half. So yes, it's been disastrous in recent memory, but you still find yourself in this fight. You still have just the 2-round deficit you have to make up.
And they do use that high tide to get position for Heat, but it's again through Art, and it's again not finding anything early. When there's such pressure down below, you send your jet over this way.
And I wonder too, to kind of continue the conversation, I wonder how much of that is a byproduct of knowing that you're going into a Viper Harbor comp, and you go, well, there's really no way that we're going to find value, but given Jet's mobility, the fact that you can get up on those double boxes, like you said,
you're going to find a challenge.
At least try it. Mid also
Spike
works.
down mid.
They've lost the spike. They do get sewers control and B-Link control Furia with the op of their own.
Oh, he can't see it.
And Mures pops the ult too, which is not the most fantastic ult for denying the plant, but it is great for holding back site control.
Yeah.
But they've left A. Look at this.
Yeah.
There's nobody there right now.
And they've put a lot into controlling B. The pit, a cascade.
There we go.
Yep.
30 seconds left.
That 2-round deficit doesn't seem too bad right now. Heat getting another. Still hanging on to the op. And a freeze for Furia.
And this is actually getting scary for Furia now. To lose momentum like that, to lose it to Heat finding some momentum too, who
10
has
seconds
had a
left.
pretty decent game. All things considered. What I'm looking at is these ults. RGL's got his. Heat has his knives too. That Viper Pit will fall this round. But I don't think you have the same response for Furia. Yeah, you only have a pit for Furia online right now. So the retake could actually end up being pretty strong. MiBR tried it in the last. Didn't go so well for them. And back to a 1-round gap. MiBR bringing it back this time.
Timeout called by Furia. Last one of regulation. Both teams will have to go silent after this. And a well-timed call one from Furia, I believe. Again, given the fact that MiBR have just won the last 2 rounds, don't want to let this one slip away.
Outside of that loss to Leviathan on this map for Furia, they've actually been great at closing out games. Specifically the games last week against EG. That one went the distance 3 maps, but Furia again. And I'm wondering how much better they're actually going to potentially be with Carlisle in the booth this time. It makes a huge difference having your head coach on the stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, last time out called, we'll see how they choose to approach this. Interesting here too.
Turret out.
DG had an attack side op in the previous round, but they're choosing to just go with regular rifles instead, investing into it a little bit more.
You saw how hard it was for him to find anything. He ran into that turret down belong. I think he was actually expecting to take a duel against Heat. But here, the first time Heat switches sides. So if that was last round, you could have seen those two go head to head. Instead, farming back up the orbs, realizing that they're not fully playing.
Get away. And I mean, Heat just fills the space.
That's nice, but they're avoiding him again. With that deep dog, that's not something that MiBR have done so far. So you kind of expect something to be followed up on. Lovely flash from JZZ over top of the roof. Gets the ping. Clears the link, but that's false info.
Confirming suspicions now. They're just going to dash out onto the site. It's just EG for now. And that Reckoning is going to cause problems. He was isolated, man. He had nowhere to go.
That's what I was saying. Another lovely plant denial here from MiBR based off of that Reckoning. I mean, they were all in position. They popped the mollies off the alarm bot. A second molly went in. Muriz had his shorty as well to deal with any dash from Digizin. As soon as that Reckoning came on, you actually saw Furia decide to cancel the hit, but it was already too late.
DG was left as lamb to the slaughter.
And now it's the opposite. Now Furia is the one saving. They've got a decent bank now. 3 round losses in a row is going to easily give them a bye here. But it will be the last.
10 seconds left. Turret's destroyed.
Unless they turn out another round win. So MiBR actually have a chance right now to actually win the game. After what a streak Furia put on, to go on their own little run here. One thing is for certain, we're going the distance. All of regulation rounds will be played. Whether we come out a winner after regulation, yet to be determined. Look, 4 players here from MiBR. That op's still here. He's on top of screens finally. He'll get the duel that I've been asking for so long.
Turns the flash, holds the line. Scalp spotted, not taken.
Digizin's the one who gets the first kill there, and he still has dash. He's playing really up front here.
Yeah, that's Heat though. You know what you're getting with him.
Pop the knives.
Welcome to my world.
And DG's the first one there. QCK, it goes down. He still takes one, but it's traded right back.
B.
Now DG has the op. And it's not your typical attack position. In this post-plant situation, you should be able to find more value with it. Although the pit obscuring thing, Fury just challenges him and wins it out.
Where's the plants? Where's the plants?
And now there's an alarm bot further up. Finally gets cleared.
This pit has been down for like 30 seconds at this point.
They have backside control. They have everything. I think Fury are stuck here.
Toxic screen down.
This is the bet they've made. MW peeking out behind it. Getting the kill. Another tap, another threat. Another swing. No kill yet.
He's just moved up so far. You don't expect this if you're MiBR.
FRZ taking backside. A cascade. This has got to be big from MW!
So has the Seekers to play with.
Oh, Mazine is...
Can he get back in through the other side? Does he want to? No, he's going to drop it.
The tap, the swing, Mazine with the clutch!
You only thought that was close.
That round was insane!
I mean, so close.
One last push.
2v3. You thought Digizin in back row, once he picked up that op, he was going to close it out.
Yeah.
But instead, you have to rely on heroics from your IGL inside of that pit. I mean, how did MW get those Seekers off? I thought he was dead for sure because there were so many obvious spots that he was going to plant from. What a round.
And Miri's just freaking chatting his way into that op. Unreal.
Blinded.
What looked like it would be a map point for MiBR has quickly turned, and now it's Furia in the driver's seat. Still a buy from MiBR, though. The defensive side still with something to fight back with. Op in the hands of Heat, as usual, down long this time.
Patience from Furia so far. It's Khalil who's going to take the first engagement down. B-Link, the first real threat. MiBR being very proactive on this map, though, right now. The Trailblazer just came in through A. Remember, that's been setting up Heat so often. This time it's completely on the other side of the map. That's misdirection that might end up in a kill, but Furia is setting up for that double B-Link flank that we saw with such success.
Yeah, there's a turret here this time, though. As soon as the orb goes up, as soon as the Viper utility denies the vision, you see they start to make their move down link. The turret now cleared.
Draws people over.
They've dropped the Reckoning, they've dropped the wall, they're fully committed to this. Oh gosh! DG's still alive!
30 seconds left.
That was insane! 5v3 here, Furia looking to put MiBR away. Roller coaster of a map that it's been, and it's not done yet. The ride still continues, and it seems like it's coming to a stop. MiBR, just JZZ left. 1v4 turns into 1v3. Time a factor. Furia somehow close this map out and take a 1-0 series lead. He's still seated, man. I'd be exhausted too after that.
What a ridiculous map. And if you're Furia, you're breathing a sigh of relief. I mean, you mentioned it's a roller coaster. That was an 8-4 loss from Furia in the first half. They brought it back, but we also thought, based off of that streak that they hit, that was going to be easy for them to close it out.
It should have been. They won 7 rounds in a row on the second half. That's nuts.
MiBR, when you thought that the super weak version of them would have showed up at the end of this map, looks like they still, I mean, this Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing that they've got going on has plenty more versions, and it's able to show up within even a single map.
Dude, I don't know that I could handle any more versions, though.
I'm still waiting for the one where Heat goes absolutely crazy here in the league.
That's true. We haven't seen that yet, and we know he's good for it. Historically, he's done it. But DG was the one who felt like he took over in a couple of instances there. Unreal. 1 map lead for Furia through all of that. Still a second map to go, potentially a third. We'll see you guys on the other side of this break.
That's the